There you see the cars in the assembly area then for the third and final race of the weekend for the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Locost Championship. It's been a busy weekend for these cars, the second meeting of the season for them, and with 3 races this weekend we've seen some changes in the championship standings. By my reckoning, and this is unofficial, with his victory in the race earlier on today, we have a new championship leader in the form of Tom Gadd. He has moved on to 65 points by my maths. Second now in the championship with 64 points is the champion from last year, Mark Burton, so just 1 point behind him. Third place on 60 points is Martin West, and fourth place on 59 points, Murray Shepherd. So only 6 points covering the first 4 drivers after round 4 of the championship a little bit earlier on in the day. And we've got 1 more race today and then 3 more in a fortnight at Anglesey. So I think this is the decisive month as far as the championship is concerned. The car's now being released out onto the circuit, the grid for this race having been determined by the finishing order of the race that we saw, less than a couple of hours ago. And so it will be Tom Gadd that will be on pole position. We'll run you through the full grid then here at Croft. On pole position then, it is Tom Gadd with Murray Shepherd alongside him. Mark Burton and Peter Hatfield make up the second row of the grid. Paul Clark and Carl Roycenaz, who led the championship coming into this weekend, he lines up 6th. Martin West is 7th and Greg Smith in 8th place. They had a big scrap earlier on. Jack Johns 9th and Rob Fagg in 10th place after his off yesterday. David Mason, he starts 11th, having come from the back of the grid earlier on. Sean Brame 12th. Glenn Boyer and Matt Grow are on the 7th row of the grid. Craig Land and Jonathan Lister make up row 8. Rob Apsey and Jack Chapman on row 9. Henry Vickerman and Jonathan Higgins round out the first 20 cars on the grid. We're still only about halfway there. David Johns and Paul Keynes, who got a 10-second penalty for his jump start in the earlier race. He is 22nd on the grid, ahead of Alexander Artis and Russ Atwood on row 12. Jake Boydell and Stephen Wright on the 13th row of the grid. Louis Wall, who had to make a pit stop because of his damaged bonnet in the earlier race, he lines up on the 14th row. Next to him is Trevor Faunch. Keith Malpas and Bill Ward are on row 15, and then on row 16 it's Paul Williamson and Keith Fryer. Gary Brandon and Tim Penston-Smith, Andrew Tate amongst the non-finishers from earlier on. We may also see Simon Walker-Hansel, Dave Berry and Jeff Peake at the back, but I wouldn't hold out much hope of seeing all of those.
I don't think, Ian, that we've got any of those cars that didn't finish earlier looking to the cars as they make their way to the assembly, to the grid, sorry.
Yeah, the last car that's out there is the 42 car of Andrew Tate, so there's no Simon Walker-Hansel, there's no Dave Berry, and there is no Jeff Peake coming up to the grid. So it's Andrew Tate on 35th position. It's the last of the cars out there.
Real shame that we won't see the likes of Simon Walker-Hansel. But watch out for Louis Wall, of course, who's been so quick. We're looking at the cars as they line up onto the grid. No green flag lap this time around. So the low-cost drivers preparing for the start. And a number of them giving their thumbs up here. There's number 75, that's Paul Keynes, who's moved over from Saloon Car racing with the 750 motor. He raced in Hot Hatch last season, but moving over to Locost. And we're walking a long way down the grid, and we finally find Louis Wall. There he is on the 14th row of the grid. And he'll be looking to move forward rapidly, I'm sure. The ex-Superkart race, I think he won his first ever low-cost race, didn't he, Louis Wall? And has had success since then, but perhaps not as much as we may have expected after he won his first ever race in one of these cars.
No, he's not been 100% regular in the championship for all of that time, has he? So we've got the green flag waved at the back of the grid. We should get the 30-second board. We do so now, so very shortly the race will get underway. 5-second board is about to go up. So it's the basically black car with the green flashes of Tom Gadd on pole position. It's the white car with the green bodywork of Murray Shepherd next to him. The red lights go on, the revs are rising, and the lights go out, and away we go. And it's a good start by from the outside of the front row, Murray Shepherd, I think, making a slightly better start than Tom Gadd as they head down towards Clervaux Corner for the first time. They're pretty much level pegging, though. It's going to be Gadd who holds the inside line. He hasn't always made the best starts to races during the course of this weekend, but he has booked the trend there, and he has led. The spinners, though, in the background. It's Paul Clark that spins. That sends cars scattering. Matt Grow. We've got the 88 car going through the gravel of Jack Chapman as well. Another one was Zach Gleboyer off as well, I think, onto the inside line at Clervaux Corner. But the lead is held by Tom Gadd, but Murray Shepherd pulling out alongside him as they come down the straight towards Tower Corner for the first time, and a double toe there being taken advantage of by Mark Burton as Glenn Boyer's got heavy damage to the front of his car. That car is going to go no further. He is out of it, but we've had a change of lead down there at Tower in that Murray Shepherd has got through into the lead from Mark Burton, and Tom Gadd, who was leading, is down to third place.
Yes, that's the slipstream at work here in the Locost Championship. Shame to see Glenn Boyer off there. Hopefully he's pulled his car off far enough that the race controller happy to run as it is. There's more yellow flags as a second car is pulled off further around the corner too. But let's watch the leaders, because that is Murray Shepherd ahead of Mark Burton and Tom Gadd. Peter Hatford, Cole Roussenard, and there in sixth position I think was Martin West. There was a 6-car battle for the leader. It is indeed him there. Greg Smith is excellent. David Mason is up to 8th. Remember, he started at the back earlier. He finished 11th, so he started there, and now battles continuing on to the left-hander there into the complex, and a change for second place. Tom Gadd goes ahead of Mark Burton, and Burton may lose out also to Peter Hatfield, who's looking to come through, as is Martin West. He's trying to get past Cole Roussenard and does so. Roussenard may lose out also to Greg Smith. This is pretty typical low-cost action, isn't it? And side-by-side action wherever we look.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we did have at least one car parked off by the barriers at the chicane as well on the opening lap. Anyway, we're through to complete the first lap of the race. Down towards Clervaux Corner they go. There is David Mason, number 43, up to 8th place. So he started 11th, having started from the back of the grid for the first 2 races of the weekend. So really looking to get stuck in here and make progress up the order. Tom Gadd, meanwhile, looking to do a Mark Burton, isn't he, and get all 3 race wins here at Croft in the weekend. He's in second place at the moment. There's Greg Smith, number 69. He's in 6th position. And he is just ahead of Carl Roystonars. Meanwhile, for the lead, Gadd is just about to attack Murray Shepherd down into Tower Corner. But no, his line is stern at the moment. It's side by side for 3rd and 4th, though. It's Peter Hatfield trying to steal a march on Mark Burton that time, but he couldn't make it work.
I'm not sure Tom Gadd had any intention of attacking into Tower Corner. He just sort of sat behind him all the way down the straight. Perhaps tactically thinking for later in the race. We shall see. It's just a pair of them up front. And again, you can just see Tom Gadd just following Murray Shepherd around, not challenging. Peter Hatfield, he challenged Mark Burton in the tower, and that, in fact, lost a place because Martin West came through. Martin West up into 4th position. There's a great queue of cars, though, behind them. And one of them just runs a bit wide. That was car number 15, which was Matt Grow, who went well at Donington, didn't he? Not having such a good weekend at this point at Croft, though, into the complex. And the top 2 have changed around, haven't they? Because Tom Gadd has gone through now, but that's allowed everyone to close in. And here comes Mark Burton. He looks to the inside, and Murray Shepherd can't quite go through. Yeah,
there's 10 cars in this lead group, isn't it, now, as they make their way over the line to complete lap number 2, headed by Tom Gadd for the moment. Now, choice here for Tom Gadd. Does he sort of stay and play with the pack and position himself for the final lap, or does he do what he did in the earlier race and make a bit of a break from the rest of the field? Well, that's probably what he would like to do if he could. He's done a 1:43.21 there. Earlier on we had a 1:42.73 from Murray Shepherd. The lap record set by Louis Wall yesterday is a 1:42.47, so we'll keep an eye to see if there's any further changes there.
Peter Hatfield lost another position there because up the inside went Greg Smith. I noticed there was a touch of smoke coming out the back of Smith's car, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. Let's hope not. Anyway, here's the battle going on. That's David Mason trying to gain more places. He got up to 8th early on, but hasn't gained much more since. But Murray Shepherd goes up the inside of Tom Gadd, using the slipstream there, but he gets sideways as he had to tighten his line as Tom Gadd was alongside him still, and Gadd therefore can carry the momentum off the corner and holds on. But that gap that Gadd had at the end of the lap of 7/10 of a second is no more. A bit of a moment there at the beginning of the lap for Keith Fry, but he can continue, so we can continue to watch this lead battle. It's 4 of them now. Tom Gadd, Murray Shepherd, Mark Burton and Martin West.
Turning their way through Sunny Corner with 8.5 minutes of this race left to go. We're on lap 3, 8.5 minutes plus 1 lap, I should say. There is Rob Fagg that was going through. He is running in 9th place then, the ex-Citroen Saxo race. I can see Peter Hatfield there trying to make up a place by the look of it in the middle of the shot, but I don't think he could make that work. Martin West there, number 94, the man that was leading the championship first thing this morning. They've got
the best of the next group in is Louis Wall. He has come 3 wide into the corner here. He was 16th at the beginning of the lap, and I reckon he's now in about 11th. So 5 places gained there from Louis Wall, but he's a big gap to the top 10. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely right. But it's been a good drive so far from Louis, from row 14 of the grid. David Mason going through. He's had another good drive as well, from 12th up to 7th position, or 11th up to 7th position.
We saw Louis Wall do this at Donington Park as well, didn't we? Come from the back of the grid and catch up to the leading group. Here are the leading group, though, and they're going side by side. This is Mark Burton alongside Murray Shepherd for second place. At Martin West has got the best run of all. Tom Gadd a bit further in front, but for second place, it's side by side. West up the inside. He gets Burton. He's level with Shepherd, and he goes through. So into second place now for Martin West. He gained 2 positions there, passing Murray Shepherd and Mark Burton. The 2 cars have won the championship in the last few seasons, Ian.
Yeah, that's right. So it's Tom Gadd is just making a bit of a break now, isn't he? So it is that plan A that's really being executed here as Shepherd tries to go through on the inside of Barcroft Corner. Used a lot of curb in doing so. Still in there behind Martin West. Rob Fragg it is at the back of that leading group. Jack Johns just a little bit further back in the number 97 car. There he is. And then do we see in the background of that shot, there's Louis Wall. You could just see him heading through the background of the shot, and he'll be herring down straight towards the complex after the leading cars. 1:43.12 for Tom Gadd is still the best lap of the race, as you can see on the screen there, which is showing each driver's best lap times that they've recorded so far during the race. They're through the hairpin now and back out to complete lap number 4 with a little bit of a holding pattern going on at the moment. Rob Fragg possibly is trying to get past the other blue car, as we've had a new fastest lap of the race for Martin West. He's gone 300ths faster than Tom Gadd, 1:43.09, who is slightly closer, but not an awful lot. We've got the black and orange beat ball flag being shown to the 10th place man, Jack Johns, who's got some kind of initial. As Louis Wall now in 11th place, it sets the best lap of 1:43.03. He is 2.94 seconds behind Jack Johns, who's going to have to come into the pits.
But it's a 1.3 second lead for Tom Gadd, so I suspect that is the toe broken, but will the cars behind work together? Well, they're going side by side at the moment. Murray Shepherd is on the inside line of Martin West and slots through, does he? Martin West tried to carry the speed on the outside. He just had to run out wide to avoid the 2 cars interlocking wheels, so Martin West just slid a bit wide there to avoid making any contact, so he avoided that. That means the battle can continue, but now Murray Shepherd is ahead of him. But Mark Burton, maybe he's going to challenge here into Barcroft, or maybe into Sunny. No, he slots in behind. He was carrying good speed up into there, though. They turn it into Sunny. There's still 5 minutes plus a further lap of this low-cost race to go. The 5th round of the 2019 season. Again, Greg Smith's car, just a puff of smoke coming out the side of that. Hopefully nothing to worry about. The matter of a second into the complex here.
Absolutely right. 3 cars going at it, hammer and tongs. There's another 3 cars in the battle for 5th place as well. That's Martin West in the middle of that sandwich at the moment, though. Mark Burton is saying a move into the hairpin, but he's relatively early on the brakes actually for the hairpin, and he doesn't get through there. Greg Smith it is, number 69, that's wriggled his way up into 5th position during the course of this race, having started 8th on the grid. Now here comes Martin West alongside Murray Shepherd. He's on the outside line though for Clervaux Corner, but it's going to be Murray Shepherd that manages to hold on in car number 2.
Bit of an incident down at the complex that they're going to continue, so we can carry on racing. There's Greg Smith turning his way through Hawthorn. There's about of a second. Murray Shepherd, Martin West and Mark Burton. They're 1.5 seconds behind Tom Gadd, who was lapping fairly similar pace to them, so Gadd controlling this gap as they battle ever so hard behind. There's David Mason trying to gain more positions too, but it's 3 wide for second place, and it's Mark Burton that goes up the inside of both Murray Shepherd and of Martin West. Shepherd loses both places as Burton and West, who battled over the championship last year, go side by side. Shepherd trying to get back into the battle up towards the Jim Clark S's. Who's going to turn into here first? It is going to be Mark Burton, who gained both positions there up the inside of the pair of them, but Shepherd fights back now. He goes past Martin West. He's going to go past Mark Burton as well. He was using a rather lot of curb. He's sideways into Sunny, but he's got back through, so it's status quo for him. He started the lap in second. He's still in second place, but plenty happened in between as Cole Routenard is up the grass at Sonny, so he loses some time there and may well lose a place to Rob Fagg too.
There was something beautiful there about that move from Murray Shepherd to get a second place back. That was spectacular. Those two have been scrapped. I think it's bringing the next group back into contention as well, headed by Greg Smith. Jack Johns, by the way, has indeed come into the pits to get whatever technical issue it was seen to. David Mason there trying to make up another place on the inside of the number 69 car of Greg Smith then, and looking to go into 5th position, and he's got his nose in front just about, I think, as they come across the line this time. Pretty much level pegging between the two of them. Yeah, Greg Smith actually ahead by 100th of a second according to the timing screen. 2.25 minutes to go then. Tom Gadd now leading by 2.62 seconds. Now we had this kind of situation in the earlier race as well, but that gap did get reduced towards the end.
Looks like that smoke off Greg Smith must be a tyre rubbing on a mudguard or something like that, because whenever it goes around right-hand corners, but about of a second with all that changing, that's really what allowed Tom Gadd to extend his lead on that lap 6 of this motor race, and they will continue to battle for second place, and we'll enjoy to watch it because it's side by side. Martin West comes back up the outside of Murray Shepherd as they turn in towards Tower, but holding on this time is Shepherd. I'm sure that smoke on the Smith car's getting worse, and he may lose a place here to David Mason, who tries to come through. No, couldn't quite do it. Also notice that Louis Wall has closed in on Cole Roussenard and Rob Fagg now, so Louis Wall not far away as he pushes on through the field. Remember, he started back on row 14 of this race, and will we just see him slot through the screen? No, not quite, but he's not that far behind this group of cars that have got 2 laps to go at the end of this one, and here they come in towards the complex. Murray Shepherd defending Mark Burton, trying to go around the outside of both of them. He may well get Martin West here. No, not quite. He backed out of it, in fact, did Mark Burton. Murray Shepherd's running wide, though he just about keeps it on the tarmac, but Greg Smith doesn't. He spins towards the inside of the circuit, so Greg Smith will drop out of that battle, and that will promote David Mason into the top 5 as they come to complete the lap, being lap 7 of 9 being completed.
Yep, so along to the start and finish straight again. Gadd's lead now over 3 seconds from Murray Shepherd, who's still preoccupied with Martin West, and to a lesser extent Mark Burton, who's a little bit back. Louis Wall has now done a 1:42.81. That's still about 3.5 tenths of a second outside the lap record that he set himself yesterday, but he is now up into 7th place. He's got 2 seconds to make it on Hatfield and Mason.
Yes, he passed both Cole Roussenard and Robert Fagg on that lap, and of course was inherited a position when there was that spin for Greg Smith, but down towards Tower the battle for second continues, but once again Murray Shepherd holds on ahead of Martin West and Mark Burton. These two very experienced drivers and successful drivers in the championship. It almost looked like they were just hanging back there waiting for the last lap board, which they will see on the completion of this current lap. The battle behind, now just 2 of them. That's David Mason ahead of Peter Hatfield. Hatfield, who started the day on pole position. They're both being closed in on by Louis Wall. There he is in the background, number 44, Louis Wall, chasing these two, David Mason and Peter Hatfield. He's getting closer all the time.
He's just about got time to do this, hasn't he, before the end of the race, I reckon, because he is closing hand over fist on them. As we have about a lap and a bit to go then. There's the fight for second place making its way through a bit further back. You've got Paul Clark with some flapping bodywork in the midst of this scrap, which is for 11th backwards, isn't it, this scrap at the moment, and Clark goes wide there. Number 82 was in 13th position.
What I was going to say, remember, he's recovering from that spin right at the beginning of the race, and he's got himself inside the top 15 now. As the lead, there's a bit of a touch there. Was a big old moment for one of the cars, but
one of which Greg Smith was involved in that as well. There's the number 17 car going off. That's Hobie Vickerman pulling off, I think, at Sonny, was that?
We're on to the last lap now, and Murray Shepherd is sideways, a whole heap of understeer as he tried to save the slide. He did so and holds on to second place, but this is going to be the telling lap, I should think, on the run down towards Tower, who can make a challenge. So it is Shepherd, West and Burton. They're 3 seconds behind the leader, Tom Gadd, who should be clear. Here comes Martin Weston. He draws up alongside Murray Shepherd. He's on the inside line as well. There's a car to lap before the end of this. And Mark Burton dives up the inside of both of them, and he gets it. A great move from Mark Burton. That's how he won one of the races here last year, and he replicates it here, but is he going to hang on to it? There's still half a lap to go.
Absolutely, it's very tight between those three. There's traffic ahead of them as well to be dealt with. So that is going to be a factor surely as they come now towards Croft. Tom Gadd, you can just see going through front of shot there, still in the lead of this race. That back marker did keep out of the way. I think they're closing on Gadd as well, aren't they? Very wide, there goes Burton, so he's not going to keep hold of that second place. He's going to go back to 4th position there as a result of that very wide moment at Sunny, and it brings the next group of cars up into contention as well, and Louis Wall very much in there because he's now ahead of Mason, is he? Yes, he is. So he's ahead of Mason up to 5th place. Can he get even higher than that? Meanwhile, Tom Gadd is about to go into the hairpin for the final time. This battle going on just behind him is absolutely sensational to watch, but it's Gadd then that comes out of the final corner, heads up towards the line, checkered flag is made ready, and it's Tom Gadd that wins for the 3rd time this weekend in the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Locost Championship. 2nd place goes the way of Wimmy Shepherd, 3rd to second place to Martin West, beg your pardon, 3rd to Wimmy Shepherd, 4th to Mark Burton, 5th to Louis Wall from row 14 of the grid. David Mason was 6th, Peter Hatfield 7th, Carl Royston was 8th, Rob Fagg 9th.
And the best of the rest, well, that's a 5-car battle, but that's going to go to Sean Brame, who holds on to Paul Clark, who recovered from that early spin. So he recovered to 11th place ahead of Matt Grew and Greg Smith, who spun 2, Craig Land 14th, and he's included top 15th. That is Paul Keynes, who gets past Jonathan Lissetta on that final lap. But absolutely delighted is Tom Gadd. Not surprising because he hasn't won a race heading into this weekend, and now he's won 3 of them. So
yeah, as Mark Burton did here last year, so it's clearly a circuit. Once you get into the groove, you can really carry that through the whole weekend. He'll be delighted. I'm sure Stuart Sellers of Team Sellers Racing, who run that car, will be equally delighted as well. Really showing the pace of the cars that they prepare here to a tremendous degree this weekend. So real success all round. Stuart Sellers, of course, a race winner in Locost many times in the past as well. So Tom Gadd will lead the championship. I think he was outside the top 10 in the championship coming into this weekend. I know that was only after the first meeting, but now he'll be leading it. Martin West there, I think probably will be 2nd in the championship now as well, getting back ahead of Mark Burton. So the top 2 there you can see on the road waving to the marshals. Now the top 2 in the championship as well.
And the championship heads to Anglesey, as Ian said, in just 2 weeks' time. Both arms out the cockpit for the race winner, Tom Gadd. Yeah,
and he won by 3.3 seconds from Martin West. In 2nd place then West, 3rd place Murray Shepherd. Mark Burton was 4th after that moment at Sunny on the final lap. Then Louis Wall, David Mason, Pete Hatfield, Carl Royston, Rob Fagg and Sean Brame, who won the battle for the best of the rest in 10th place overall. 11th was Paul Clark after a spin on the opening corner. Matt Grow was 12th ahead of Greg Smith, who had problems during the course of that race. Craig Land 14th, Paul Keynes 15th ahead of Jonathan Lissiter, Andrew Tate, Jack Chapman, Jonathan Higgins and Russ Atwood. Looking a little bit further back, we can see that it was David Johns in 21st, Alex Artis, Jake Boydell, Trevor Faunch, Keith Malpas, Bill Ward and Keith Fry all made up places during the course of that race. Then we get to the non-finishers, the likes of Hobie Vickerman, Jack Johns and Paul Williamson. So there is Tom Gadd into the pit lane to celebrate his 3rd victory of the weekend, and he will share the podium spoils with Martin West and Mark Burton. He's going to get the helmet off. He'll soon receive the garland. So let's head down to hear from Andy McEwen.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Well, Tom Gadd, these low-cost races are supposed to be difficult to win, and you've just won 3 of them.
Yeah, no, I take nothing for granted. These guys were coming, and I got away at the start again, and everything that's happened, the first 2 races happened again. But yeah, I got lucky. It's probably the easiest low-cost race I've ever had. So yeah, it's great.
You were 11th in the points arriving at Croft, and you've now got something like an 8-point championship lead. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's well, great to hear, but yeah, we had no idea coming into this round would be any good. We didn't test on the Friday. It's always been quite a bogey circuit for me the past 2 years. We've always struggled here, so I've always loved this place. Great track, and so I just wanted to try my best here, and it's all clicked together.
The pressure's on now, though, because you were sort of under the radar arriving here, but now you've got a target on your back.
I hope not. These guys are quick, so they'll go and catch me later on in the year, no doubt. But we'll try the best. It's testament to the car my dad's and Stuart's built. So massive thanks to them for helping me out with everything and keeping me racing every weekend. So massive testament to them.
Brilliant weekend, 3 wins. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Well done then to Thomas Gadd, our triple winner here this weekend. Now, Martin West was 2nd in that race. Martin, some solid championship points, but I think realistically when you're in the thick of that at times 8-car battle for second, points were the last thing on your mind.
No, points were on my mind, believe it or not. I had a good start to the year, but today's and yesterday's been a bit of a nightmare. I haven't been able to get a good setup on the car that I'm happy with, which is strange because I never usually touch too much on the car, but a friend of mine over here has just offered me a couple of tips before I went out. We tried that and it absolutely transformed the car, so I was able to keep with them a bit, but problem was none of us were working together, and so Tom had a free run at it. He can have a cup of tea as he's going around if he wants to, but no, fair play. He's been on fire since he got here, Tom, so brilliant drive. Didn't make a mistake all weekend, so it's hard to win one race. 3 in a row in one weekend. I think Mark's done that and myself, and that's about it. So yeah, very good from Tom, so well done to him.
Yeah, we think 12 months ago here was the last time it happened, but talk us through that last lap, because it was a lively race from start to finish, but the last lap in particular was.
Yeah, you've got to sort of play a bit of a calculation game. I could see there's only a couple of minutes left, so I thought there's no point being in the lead. I'm never going to catch Tom of the pack, so I just stayed behind Murray till the last lap and tried to time it right. Luckily it worked out, but it worked out for Mark as well, but unfortunately he had a little spin on the last, out through sunny in and sunny out, so that was it. Just keep it straight and on the tarmac, and second was nailed on, but yeah, so that's about as exciting as it gets for me this weekend.
Well, not a bad weekend's result anyway. Congratulations, and on to the next one now. Well done to Martin West, second place, finished then, and Murray Shepherd in third place. It could so easily have been second, it could so easily have been about 8th, I think, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's always the way, but I was just trying to catch a toe off Tom, but he just got out. You can feel it on your helmet when you get in the toe and you suddenly feel yourself come forwards, and I just got out of that distance, so kind of stayed with the pack and squabbled with them, but Mark, myself and Westy had a great race, and we've had some really good racing this weekend, so it was nice to finish it off all in one piece.
Good championship points as well. It's going to be a close championship this year, isn't it? Tom reckons that you lot are all going to catch him now through the rest of the season. What do you think?
Well, it's a bit of a new order at the front. Well, there's a couple of new sort of guys coming in, which is definitely shaking it up. I think Mark set the bar pretty high last season. Everyone's come back, reacted to that, and it's a whole different ball game. So it just makes for a really exciting racing.
Well, congratulations. Well done on the podium then to Murray Shepherd. Martin West is second. Thomas Gadd in the 3 times a race winner this weekend, which really is a remarkable result. Well, that is it now for Locost. Next up, it's the big one, the main event. The second round of the Club Enduro Championship is just a few minutes away. The cars are heading out to the assembly area now. A packed grid, 45 cars due to race for 3 hours around the Croft circuit. Weather is still questionable as well. It's going to be a fascinating afternoon of racing.